Sometimes we forget just how mind-blowing life really is. The world, and the universe beyond it, holds some facts so incredible that they'll make you stop and rethink your place in it all. I'm Mike with List 25, and join me as we count down to the strangest facts guaranteed to blow your mind. It's common knowledge that our thoughts carry energy, but did you know they create a measurable energy field around you? According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, the type of thought you have might actually matter more than you realize. He suggests that positive, coherent thoughts combined with heart coherence can generate a magnetic field, which would explain why some people experience profound healing beyond what modern medicine can explain. In fact, his team of scientists has even measured this field. So it's very possible that our thoughts are shaping our bodies and reality in ways we don't fully understand yet. Ever noticed a punt? I'm guessing you have seen it, but you didn't know what it was called. That indent at the base of a wine bottle? That's a punt. It hails from the days when glassblowers would make bottles and put an indent in to avoid leaving an awkward pointy bit of glass on the base. You might say it's a hangover from another era. See what I did there? There are parties, and then there are parties. In 1988, Miami set a Guinness World Record for the longest conga line ever with a jaw-dropping 119,986 people dancing in sync. The epic event took place at the Calle Ocho Festival, an annual street party that's basically one huge celebration of Latin culture. The streets were jam-packed with people from all walks of life, shimmying and shaking through Miami's vibrant neighborhoods for blocks. It's a reminder that the wildest parties aren't always about what you do, they're about doing it with as many people as possible. Phrasing. There are no two bigger rivals in the world of drinks than Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but even they have their limits. When an executive assistant of Coke approached Pepsi offering confidential information, she asked for $1.5 million in return. She might have thought she was about to strike gold. However, unfortunately for her, Pepsi quickly contacted Coke, and both companies worked with the FBI to put her in jail for 8 years. We already know that elephants are emotional and intelligent, but we've now discovered that Asian elephants are burying their dead. A study from 2024 revealed that between 2022 and 2023, researchers in North Bengal, India discovered 5 calf burials. The calves were placed on their backs, with soil covering their heads and torsos, while their legs were left sticking out of the dirt. What's even more intriguing is that the elephants traveled long distances, possibly to protect the calves from scavengers. Before leaving the burial sites, the elephants vocalized for nearly 40 minutes, behavior which researchers believe could be the herd's way of mourning. What do you do with the hole in the top of your pen? Do you chew on it? Maybe you play a little tune. In fact, it's there to prevent choking in small children. Should they put the colorful cap in their mouths and then swallow it, the hole leaves the airway clear. This gives you precious time to call an ambulance. In 2011, Margaritaville in Las Vegas shook things up by mixing the world's largest margarita, aptly named Lucky Rita. This colossal cocktail had a volume of 32,176 liters, that is 8,500 gallons, and they didn't just pour it into any old container. They prepared a massive tank shaped like a margarita glass, standing 5.2 meters or 16 feet 11 inches tall and 3 meters in diameter, which is 10 feet. Yes, it was rimmed with salt. The ingredients list was just as epic. Over 8,000 liters of Margaritaville Gold Tequila, 9,000 liters of Margarita Mix, 2,760 liters of Triple Sec, and almost 13,000 liters of Lemon X Margarita Mix. It took around 300 hours and 60 people to bring this giant drink to life, all to celebrate the grand opening of the Margaritaville Casino at the Flamingo Hotel. What's your favorite hotel in Vegas? Let me know in the comments below. In the Western world, many depictions of Buddha show him as a chubby man with a big round belly. But this version isn't actually Buddha at all. It's a Chinese monk named Budai. He's better known by the nickname of the Laughing Buddha. The original Buddha who founded the religion wasn't fat at all. In fact, from his excessive traveling, fasting, and meditation, there's a good reason to believe he was skinny. So, putting on a few pounds isn't going to make you more zen. Great apes are known to be capable of self-healing, but scientists had never seen one use plants to heal a wound, until Rakus came along. In 2022, Rakus, a male Sumatran orangutan living in Indonesia's Gunung Leso Park, was spotted with a nasty wound under his right eyelid. But what amazed researchers wasn't the injury, it was how he treated it. Rackus began chewing the stem and leaves of a liana vine, known locally for its anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties, and smeared the juice on his wound. He even covered it with leaves when flies bothered the area. Over the next few days, he repeated the process, and by day 5, his wound had closed without any infection. After a month, only a faint scar remained. The edges of your dimes and quarters are rough and kind of serrated looking. If you're watching from the outside of US and Canada, you'll have no doubt noticed it with your own coins. Specifically the heavy hitters as opposed to the small change. Why is this? Because back in the day, people shaved metal off their valuable coins in order to create extra currency. Yes, there was really a thing called coin shaving. By making the edges rough, you could easily spot if a coin had been shaved or not. If your idea of a good party involves copious amounts of great food, then you will love La Tomatina, the world's largest food fight. Every year, on the last Wednesday of August, the small town of Buñol, Spain, transforms into a chaotic tomato battleground. Thousands of people from around the world gather to throw over 120 tons of overripe tomatoes at each other. The tradition dates back to 1945, when a group of locals started a spontaneous food fight during a parade. Now, it's one of Spain's most famous festivals, attracting massive crowds eager to let loose and join in on the fun. You ever heard that the camera adds 10 pounds? Hey. Well, what about a mirror that sheds 10 pounds? That's the inspiration behind the Skinny Mirror, a product that slightly bends your reflection so you appear slimmer. The creator wants to use it as a way to make women feel better about the clothes they wear. She's revealed a trade secret too. Many clothes shops already use these kinds of mirrors to get you to buy their products, but putting them in the home will give you that boost of confidence before you go out. The air you're breathing right now might have been inhaled by a dinosaur. Earth's atmosphere is a closed system, meaning the air we breathe has been circulating for millions of years. Every breath you take contains particles shared by ancient civilizations, animals, and even plants. From dinosaurs roaming prehistoric Earth to the ancient Egyptians, we're all connected through this invisible cycle. Something as simple as a breath. That little fabric square you get with new clothes can be used to patch up holes. It can also be used as a guinea pig for cleaning product purposes. This saves you the trauma of putting your brand new garment in the wash only for it to be ruined by the wrong detergent. When most people think of a dance party, they imagine a few hours of fun. But in 2015, dancers in Wexford, Ireland took things to a whole new level by setting the Guinness World Record for the longest dance party. Clocking in at an incredible 55 hours, 7 minutes of non-stop dancing, the event known as the Marathon of Dance, now aptly named, wasn't just about having a good time, it was held to raise money for mental health awareness. Participants had to stay on their feet with only short breaks allowed, and by the end, they were exhausted but victorious, dancing their way into the record books. The Happy Birthday song is sung in homes, restaurants, and parties all over the world every single day. But did you know that up until recently, to use it in a film, commercial, or published video, you needed to pay a copyright fee? Since 1988, Warner Brothers Music owned the rights to the song, and they charged $700 per use. This ownership was contested and even ended up as a part of a Supreme Court case. Eventually in 2015, the ownership was declared invalid, and now the song is in the public domain, meaning you can use it as much as you want. With around 60 to 80,000 thoughts running through our minds daily, you'd think we'd be more aware of them. But here's the catch. Most of these thoughts happen subconsciously. According to experts, only a tiny fraction of your daily thinking is actually conscious. In fact, it's estimated that you have only about 5 minutes of true conscious thought each day. The rest? It's all on autopilot. Your brain is constantly making decisions and reacting without you even noticing. Whether it's habits, routines, or instinctual reactions, most of what happens in your mind goes on behind the scenes. As we all know, Chinese food is pretty ingenious, though one detail seems to have passed us by, namely the dual function of a takeout container. This can actually be folded out into a plate, which certainly saves up on the washing up afterwards. You've probably heard of Oktoberfest, right? Even if beer isn't your thing, this event is way more than just a drinking fest. It's a cultural experience. Every year, over 6 million people flock to Munich, Germany for Oktoberfest. Sure, most come for the beer. 7.7 million liters, or about 2,034,124 gallons, are down during the festival's 16 to 18 day run. But there is so much more to it. Oktoberfest is a massive celebration of Bavarian culture, complete with music, dancing, and loads of delicious food, from pretzels to bratwurst. Between the giant beer tents, colorful parades, and all the lederhosen, it's the kind of party that sticks with you, whether you're a beer lover or not. I almost said sláinte, but that's Irish. Prost. Isn't it? Prost. There we go. Nailed it. Ever send a sarcastic message through text and just hope that the other person understands? Well, to clear up any confusion, you'll be glad to learn about a symbol called the percontation point. It lets readers know that the sentence is either ironic or sarcastic. It looks like an inverted question mark and was first used as far back as the 19th century. That's going to get confusing with Spanish. Do you put it at the end? When you vividly picture something, whether it's a memory or a future event, your brain activates the same neurons as if it's happening in real life. This is why athletes use visualization to improve performance. Their brains help their bodies prepare by mimicking real action. According to studies, this can have a real-world impact. Athletes who mentally rehearse their activities often perform better because their brains are essentially training them. And it's not just for sports. This ability affects how we process fear, excitement, or even practice skills. Our minds are so much more powerful than we think. Or I guess than they think, because our minds are doing the thinking. Our brain is the only organ to name itself. Think about that one. I don't mean your panties, by the way. You might not be wearing any. You know what? This section's getting a little weird. I need to focus. Okay. I mean the small pocket found on panties, which should really be sewn in completely. Instead, this panty gusset can be opened on one side, leading folks to think it's a pocket. Although it isn't. It's there for private, hygienical reasons. Okay, party animals, take note. This is how you level up a party. To ring in the new year, Atlantis, the Palm in Dubai, and Moet Chandon created the world's largest champagne glass pyramid at the star-studded Effervescence event. Standing at an incredible 27 feet or 8.23 meters tall and made from 54,740 champagne glasses, the tower took a team 55 hours over 5 days to construct. After the record-breaking event, the pyramid stood tall through New Year's Eve, and the glasses were later recycled into refillable glassware. You might not have guessed it, but there's a real connection between dental health and the way your brain functions. Researchers found that people with gum diseases and unhealthy teeth experience a part of their brain, called the hippocampus, contracting much faster than normal. The hippocampus is linked to memory, emotion, and learning, meaning that flossing every day might just save your memory from fading. For just a second, try to imagine a structure so massive it stretches across 10 billion light years. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall is a mind-boggling cluster of galaxies bound together by gravity, making it the largest known structure in the universe. To put that into perspective, even if you could travel at the speed of light, it would take you a staggering 10 billion years to cross it. That's not just huge, it's beyond human comprehension. The name sounds like something out of Transformers, yet the truth about plastrons is that they're used in fencing. They protect certain body parts from an opponent's blade, or foil, specifically the side where you're holding your sword. The plastron goes under the fencing jacket and ensures you stay as slice-free on your arm and chest as possible, although if you are slicing with it, it's mostly pokey, isn't it? It's more of that. Poke-free. We don't really have to stop having fun in the winter. And in 2013, the people of Seattle proved it. A total of 5,834 participants gathered at Seattle's Snow Day to break the record for the largest snowball fight ever. Over 160,000 pounds of snow were brought in to turn the Seattle Center into a winter wonderland. And once the snowballs started flying, it was pure frosty chaos. The event, organized to raise funds for charity, lasted for several hours and ended with teams of people pelting each other with snowballs in an epic, giant, fun-filled battle. As things go, I should mention that minor injuries were, however, reported. What's scarier than seeing a shark in the water? How about a shark that thrives underneath a piping hot active volcano? They're called Cavachi sharks, named after the volcano where they were first found, but a more fun name is Sharkano. The temperatures in the waters where they live can rise to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, far too extreme for most shark species. The discovery came using exploratory robots, and Sharkanos have scientists wondering what other kind of life might be lurking underneath volcanoes. Only about 43% of the cells in your body are actually human. The rest are microbial. bacteria, viruses, and fungi that work alongside you, helping with digestion, immunity, and even mood regulation. This vast network of microorganisms is vital to your health, making you more of an ecosystem than just an individual. So, just like we share 99.9% of our DNA with every human on Earth, we're also deeply interconnected with the world around us, even at the microscopic level. If you're using a keyboard, look down right now. You'll see that the F and J keys have raised bumps on them. These are to keep your eyes on the screen whilst giving your fingertips an idea of where they are on the keyboard. You see, over time, the QWERTY keyboard imprints itself on your memory. Try looking at the screen and typing without looking down. Do it in this comment section. Type. Let me know if you're typing. Let me know if you're testing it right now. You should know where the keys are instinctively. Look at me. I'm like an admin-based Jedi Master. In 2009, Mexico City threw an epic party that would make even Michael Jackson proud. Just weeks after the King of Pop's passing, 13,597 people gathered at the Monumento a Revolucion to perform the iconic Thriller dance. On what would have been his 51st birthday, participants, many dressed as zombies, others as Jackson himself, perfectly nailed the zombie dance from the music video. By playing tribute, the people of Mexico set a Guinness World Record for the largest Thriller dance ever. Farmers are constantly on the lookout for things that threaten their livelihood. That includes coyotes, which can eat chickens, goats, or even sheep. That is, unless there happens to be a llama around. Surprisingly, llamas chase off coyotes and turn aggressive whenever they see one. That's why they're sometimes used to protect livestock, especially sheep. They wait for any sign of danger, like personal bodyguards watching over the group. It's a good thing they have long necks. Did you think it'd be a cheetah or a gazelle of some kind? You might think I'm being dramatic, but we humans are built for endurance in every way. While we can't outrun a cheetah in a short sprint, our ability to sweat and cool down efficiently gives us an edge over almost every other animal when it comes to long distances. And it's this incredible endurance that allowed our ancestors to literally run down their prey during hunts, ensuring our survival. Earphones are pretty simple things, right? You stick them in your ear and sound comes out of the hole and into your ear canal. Some earphones have more than one hole. So what are the extras for? Well, in the case of Apple, they've put a couple of holes which are used as air holes. What? Do earphones need to breathe? Well, turns out they do. The speaker has a flexible diaphragm, which apparently improves the quality of the sound. Air is required to move the diaphragm back and forth, enabling you to hear your tunes the best way possible. In the town of Marino, Italy, there's a festival that takes party to a whole new level. Every year, on the first Sunday of October, the town celebrates Admiral Marcantonio Colonna's victory over the Ottoman Armada in 1571. The streets are filled with Renaissance costumes, jousting, free food, and the piece de la resistance, wine flowing from the town's main fountain, La Fontana dei Quattro Mori. As dusk falls, the water is drained and sweet white wine is poured for everyone to enjoy. So, if wine's your thing, bullets, missiles, bombs. These are the kinds of things that the military uses in war, right? Well, during World War II, one US naval ship used a very different kind of ammunition: potatoes. In a battle near the Solomon Islands against the Japanese, a US destroyer caught a Japanese submarine surfacing, but was too close to fire any artillery. So instead, the Americans threw anything and everything they had on board, including potatoes. The Japanese crew were so taken by surprise that it was only after they tried to submerge again that they realized their hatch was still open. Water flooded in and quickly sank the vessel. It may be the only maritime battle won by potatoes. Ever heard of the butterfly effect? It's the idea that even a tiny action, like a butterfly flapping its wings, can trigger a series of events that eventually results in something much larger, like a hurricane forming far away. This concept applies to our decisions too. One small choice can ripple through time and shape the lives of future generations. Think about Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. It sparked a movement that changed the course of civil rights in the US. Or the decision to introduce the internet to everyday life. It's reshaped how we communicate, work, and live. Even small actions can set off waves that last for decades or even centuries. The cylinder you see on your laptop cord isn't just hanging there doing nothing. It performs an important role in blocking unwanted radio frequencies which might interfere with your machine through the charging cable. Think of the frequencies as competing forces that need to be kept separate. There are the frequencies used by your laptop and the signals picked up by the cable. The cylinder uses magnetic iron oxide to form a barrier between the two. The technical name for the cylinder is a ferrite bead, which is weird because it isn't shaped like a bead, it's a cylinder. I don't make the rules. Now, since I'm on the subject of wine, isn't it fascinating how traditional Chinese medicine never fails to surprise? In China, there's a rice wine that promises to restore men's potency, 太师上病酒, which translates to 3 penis liquor. This unique brew contains, as the name suggests, the essence of 3 different animal penises: deer, seal, and dog. According to tradition, these ingredients are steeped in the wine to extract their medicinal properties, with the goal of boosting male virility and apparently healing kidneys. So yeah, wine folk, maybe not all wine should be your thing. Doctors prescribe a range of treatments, from medicine and physiotherapy to mental health support. Something you aren't likely to hear recommended by a doctor is a bullet. Strangely enough, though, this worked to cure a man who had a severe case of obsessive-compulsive disorder. His condition left him unable to work, study, or even socialize. Driven to desperation, he decided to end it all and shot himself with a .22 caliber rifle. What happened next can only be described as a miracle. Not only did he survive, but parts of the bullet were stuck in his brain, which cured him of his OCD. According to our best and brightest, there are about 7.5 quintillion grains of sand on Earth's beaches. Give or take. Now consider this. There are roughly 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and there are about 100 billion galaxies beyond that. That means the number of stars in the universe easily surpass the grains of sand on all of Earth's beaches combined. Those little loops on the back of your shirt, what gives with those? We have coat hangers to keep our clothes crumple-free and out of harm's way, so why do we need the extra loop? Well, this dates back to the times before wardrobes and such. For some reason, the loop stuck around. And if you think about it, that's still pretty convenient. And speaking of shirts, I'm kidding, I did that earlier. Still, just get some. New Zealand's Kareroo pigeon isn't just admired, it's celebrated. Even when it's, well, a little tipsy. Every year, the conservation group Forest and Bird holds a national competition to crown New Zealand's favorite bird. And in 2018, the Kareroo pigeon, known for its clumsy antics, took top prize. These birds love snacking on fermented fruit, which often leaves them literally stumbling out of the trees. Locals affectionately describe them as flaming drunk. But while they might seem like the life of the party, Kareroos are actually vital to New Zealand's ecosystem, playing a crucial role in dispersing seeds for native plants. So despite their boozy behavior, they hold a special place in everyone's hearts, like that lovable, tipsy uncle at Christmas dinner. Although I believe John Oliver got the Puteki Teki to win last year? Year before? What's up, John Oliver? I know you're watching this, clearly. Sorry, I don't know why. We're clearly best friends. What's up, John? Thanksgiving wasn't always a nationally celebrated holiday in the US. Before the 1860s, each state had its own version, celebrated at different times of the year. It wasn't until an author named Sarah Josepha Hale began campaigning that the federal government considered making it a national holiday. Hale is famous for writing Mary Had a Little Lamb, but it seems she was just as invested in Thanksgiving as she was writing. She started a campaign contacting famous politicians, including Abraham Lincoln, and was eventually successful when Thanksgiving was established in 1863. Hale even wrote what should be eaten on this day: roasted turkey and gravy. The atoms that make up everything, from your body to the chair you're sitting on, are over 99.999999999% empty space. In fact, if all the empty space inside the atoms of every human being were removed, the entire population could fit into the volume of a sugar cube. What we think of as solid is actually a collection of tiny particles held together by invisible forces, which means that most of our physical world is basically empty space. Nexon bottles are very convenient, but back to the bottle. There's another reason they're shaped that way. Easy to hold, yes, but also good for keeping your drink cold. Holding it by the body makes your beverage warmer faster. I don't recommend drinking this out of the bottle. Not this one. It's just, I had it earlier, so I'm using it again. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. Back in 2019, Dutch customs officials raised an eyebrow when a Chinese-owned ship, the Nebula, pulled into Rotterdam carrying a suspicious load: 90,000 bottles of top-shelf Russian vodka. The paperwork claimed it was headed for China, but Dutch intelligence wasn't buying it. They suspected that the shipment's real destination was the private stash of none other than North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Since the UN's sanctions have banned luxury goods from entering North Korea, this vodka haul quickly became a problem. The bottles were tucked behind an aircraft inside the ship's hull, but that didn't stop customs from seizing the stash. While they've kept quiet about how they cracked the case, it's not hard to believe Kim was behind it. After all, he's been known to import billions in luxury goods since taking over in 2011. Once upon a time, in the 1880s, you could stand in the middle of Times Square and not be bothered by any tourists, street vendors, or flashing billboards. Back then, the place was called Longacre, and it was a handful of mid-rise apartments and streets for carriages to travel on. It was only with the development of electricity that the neighborhood changed radically, with big towers springing up until it was officially renamed Times Square in 1905 after the New York Times newspaper, which had recently moved into the area. Shannon's number, which estimates all the potential positions, is around 10 to the 120th power. For comparison, there are only around 10 to the 80th power of atoms in the entire universe. With just 64 squares and 32 pieces, chess is easily one of the most complex things we've ever come up with. Honestly, calling it a game doesn't even feel right. It's more like an endless maze of strategy and opportunity. I don't know why that sentence sounds weird to me. Your lollipop comes firmly planted on a plastic or paper stick. You've probably noticed that this stick has a hole through the middle. Why is that? Well, during production, the hot candy oozes into this hole, ensuring there's extra grip for the sweet treat. The last thing you want is your lollipop rolling off down the street. Actually, I tend to take it and try to pull it off, and I just eat it like a sucker candy, so how do you eat your lollipops? I'm weird, aren't I? Damn it. The margarita is one of the most popular cocktails out there, and you might not know this, but it comes with more than one origin story. Margarita Sames, a wealthy socialist from Dallas, Texas, claimed to have invented the drink while on vacation in Acapulco in 1948 with her friends. One of those friends, Tommy Hilton, yes, from those Hiltons, liked the drink so much that he put it on his hotel's drink menus. However, Jose Cuervo was already promoting the margarita in 1945, which makes Margarita's story a little shaky. Still, some people prefer to stick to it, because wealthy people never make up stories, right? Then there's Danny Negretti, who supposedly created the margarita as a wedding gift for his sister-in-law, also named Margarita, as well as Don Carlos Orozco, a Mexican bartender who claimed he made the drink for the daughter of a German ambassador. And here's a fun fact. During Prohibition, there was a similar drink called the Daisy, and margarita just happens to be Spanish for daisy. Coincidence? What do you think? Kimono garments have their roots in traditional Japanese clothing, first worn in the 16th century. By the 19th century, these had made their way to Europe. When translated, though, it almost sounds too simple. The word is made up of two parts, ki meaning to wear, and mono means thing. So it literally means a thing to wear. At Orfield Laboratories in Minnesota, there's a room so quiet, it holds the Guinness World Record as the quietest place on Earth. This soundproof chamber, called an anechoic chamber, is so silent that people can hear their own heartbeat, muscles moving, and even the blood flowing through their veins. The quiet is, in fact, so intense that the longest anyone has managed to stay inside is just 45 minutes before becoming disoriented. Headrests can be pretty relaxing for your cranium, but not everyone likes them or is tall enough for them. Detaching them reveals the two long metal bars holding them in place. They do other things though. You can actually use them to smash through your car window if you happen to become trapped in your vehicle and you don't have one of those handy dandy tools. So in a pinch. Although you should probably get one of those handy dandy tools with the seatbelt cutter and the sometimes flashlight and the glass smashing thing. Keep one of those in your car. PSA. Beer might just be the reason we have, well, everything. According to the Discovery Channel documentary, How Beer Saved the World, this humble drink is credited with kickstarting human civilization. The documentary claims that early humans didn't start farming to grow food, they did it to brew beer. And as demand grew, so did our need to innovate. The plow, the wheel, and irrigation, all thanks to our thirst for beer. But it doesn't stop there. Math became essential to help farmers manage their expanding fields. And written language? Yeah, that was developed to keep track of beer production and trade. In fact, the documentary basically argues that every single major milestone in human history was driven by our love for beer. So the next time you raise a glass, you might be toasting the very foundation of civilization. Looking for some peace and quiet? Well, then you might want to head to the Orfield Laboratories in Minnesota, where engineers have created an anechoic chamber that is so quiet you can hear the blood moving through your body. The room rests on a series of springs to minimize vibrations and is encased in 12 inches of concrete on each side. Apart from possibly driving you mad, this experience doesn't come cheap. It costs $600 an hour to sit inside the chamber. NASA's Voyager 1 holds the record as the farthest human-made object from Earth, currently over 15 billion miles away. Launched back in 1977, it was designed to explore the outer planets, but it's still going strong, having now left our solar system. Voyager 1 carries messages from humanity, just in case it ever encounters intelligent life out there. Even more incredible, it's still sending data back to Earth, proving just how far human ingenuity can reach, and how much more there is left to explore. Chances are, if you look under your kitchen table, you'll see a strange attachment bolted at the bottom. It can be shaped like a triangle or a circle. If you look where your cabinet is, you might see an attachment underneath there too. Folks, you're looking at a convenient way of opening jars. You put the lid between the teeth provided and twist. These can be a godsend for sufferers of arthritis. Okay, I promise, this is my last beer-related fact. But I think it's safe to say that while Adam and Eve may have discovered the first apple, their descendants probably used the next ones to make cider. In 2018, archaeologists uncovered a 13,000-year-old brewery in a Stone Age cave in Israel. Whoever ran that operation was likely the life of the party, or at least of the ritual feasts held by the Natufian people. The beer brewed here was probably consumed during these feasts, supporting the idea that beer might have been one of the reasons early humans started planting cereal crops. So maybe there's some truth to that Discovery Channel documentary after all. Do you have a book that you just haven't quite had time to read yet? Or maybe you have a few. If you have stacks of them, then there's a word in Japanese that might fit you. It's called tsundoku, and it refers to buying up books without reading them. Is that how people end up with full bookshelves in their houses? Time isn't as fixed as we'd like to think. Earth's rotation is gradually slowing down, which means solar time, based on the Earth's position relative to the sun, is slowing too. On the other hand, atomic time, which measures time based on the vibrations of atoms, is incredibly precise. To keep everything aligned, we occasionally add a leap second to atomic clocks to match Earth's slower pace. So in a way, we're always adjusting time itself to keep in sync with our reality. Makeup instructions can be a minefield. If you don't follow the do's and don'ts, it can have serious consequences for your skin. Not that I know, it's just what I'm told. I don't wear makeup. Like, if you do, you do. I don't. I'm too lazy for it. I don't think I ever could. I'd be the worst makeup person ever. It would never happen. I used to. Actually, when we first started on camera, I did. I wore it. I don't do it anymore. I'm so lazy. Thankfully, beauty companies help us out with the letter M. The symbol of an open jar with, say, 18M next to it indicates when you need to throw out that product. Months. In 2014, Bestival, a UK music festival, took partying to a whole new level by unveiling the world's largest disco ball. The glittering giant measured an incredible 33 feet or 10 meters in diameter, making it bigger than most buses. Suspended high above the festival grounds, the ball reflected light across the crowd, turning the entire event into a shimmering dance floor. It was so massive that a crane had to hoist it into place, and it broke the Guinness World Record for the largest disco ball ever made. Wonder what the one was before that. After becoming hooked on the idea of spotting the Loch Ness Monster, Englishman Steve Feltham moved to the area and set up camp permanently. He left his old life behind and became obsessed. He even operates a website dedicated to finding Nessie. More impressively, Steve holds the record for the longest continuous vigil for the monster at 32 years. How do you feel about walking? The average person walks about 110,000 miles, or 177,027 kilometers in their lifetime. Since the Earth's circumference is roughly 24,901 miles, or 40,075 kilometers, that's like walking around the planet 5 times. This estimate includes everything from daily commutes and errands to leisurely walks and exercise, showing just how much ground we cover without even realizing it. How many steps have you taken today? Let me know in the comments. I don't have my watch, I have no idea. I just woke up, it's actually early in the morning, so probably not much. If you're a bit biblical, you might have heard the words Epistle of the Apostles. The Apostles were of course connected with Jesus Christ. An epistle, meanwhile, is an elaborate form of letter. If you receive a fancy piece of correspondence like this, you know it's important. Someone hands Mike a letter. There's no one else here. For me? Oh, wow, looks like I've received my very own epistle. We can edit this in post. Oh, it's just from my bank. That was anticlimactic. God, edit that in post to look terrible. I'm okay with that. You know I film these alone, right? Like, there's no one here. We can't have other people handing me stuff. Let's talk party snacks, because apparently some people are getting pretty creative with where they enjoy them. According to a survey, 17% of Americans admit to eating party snacks in the bathroom. Yep, either on the toilet or in the shower. Really? And if that's not enough to raise an eyebrow, nearly 50% of people are guilty of double dipping at parties. You know, when you bite and dip again. So next time you're at a party, you might want to think twice before reaching for the communal dip. Although the most commonly spoken language in Ireland is English, the national language is actually Irish. Out of the around 7 million people living on the island, about 2 million can speak some Irish, but the number of people fluent is only around 250,000. UNESCO has put Irish in the definitely endangered category, meaning that if something isn't done soon, it could disappear. Venus is a fascinating planet for many reasons, but one of the most mind-bending facts is that its day is longer than its year. Venus rotates so slowly that it takes about 243 Earth days to complete one full rotation. In contrast, it only takes about 225 Earth days for Venus to orbit the Sun. That means that a day on Venus, its full rotation, lasts longer than its entire year. The little bumps inside the tread of your tires serve a useful purpose. It's worth going out and taking a look the next time you're planning a drive. If the tread is on the same level as the bumps, then you're developing a flat tire and need to remedy the situation fast. When you think of Christmas dinner, KFC probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Unless you're in Japan. Every year, millions of Japanese families head to their local KFC for a bucket of fried chicken, and it's become a full-blown tradition since the 70s. It all started with a clever marketing campaign called Kentucky for Christmas, and now families place their orders weeks in advance to make sure they don't miss out. Out of all the things you can put in a cocktail, a floating toe isn't something that comes to mind. However, if you happen to be in Dawson City, Canada, you can find just that. It began after a frostbitten toe was put into a glass of alcohol. Decades later, a man named Captain Dick Stevenson decided to drink it. He was so proud of it that he established the Sour Toe Cocktail Club. To join, you have to down a cocktail containing 1 shot of whiskey with a real human toe floating inside. The only other condition is that your lips must touch the appendage. Shockingly, over 90,000 people have done it already. As strange as it sounds, our known universe has no center and has no edge. Every point in space is moving away from every other point, which means no matter where you are, even if it feels like you're in the center, there isn't one. And there's no edge either. The universe just keeps expanding, and for the moment, there's no end in sight. Hangers made from cedarwood look nicer than your typical plastic ones. Plus, they give off a distinctive scent. Is that all they do? Well, you'll be surprised to hear that cedarwood hangers have an important use that is overlooked. The smell you get from cedarwood oils is believed to be a natural insect repellent, which is great news for keeping away hungry moths who just spotted your new jacket hanging in the wardrobe. In Spain, there's a juicy New Year's Eve tradition that involves eating 12 grapes, one for every strike of the clock at 12 a.m. Each grape symbolizes good fortune for each month of the following year, but you have to eat them quickly. Really quickly. Families and friends gather round, grapes in hand, and everyone tries to finish all 12 before the clock stops chiming. It's a lighthearted and slightly chaotic way to ring in the new year. What a grape way to ring in the new year. In the age of Zoom meetings and different time zones, it's not hard to miss a meeting. But imagine turning up 12 days late, and to the Olympics, no less. That's what members of the 1908 Russian Olympic team did after misreading the calendar. They hadn't taken into account the fact that the British were using the Gregorian calendar, the kind that's still used today. The Russians, on the other hand, were using the Julian calendar, which was about 12 days ahead at the time, making them more than a week and a half late to the London Olympics. Somehow, they still managed to win 1 gold and 2 silver medals. Scientists have found evidence of a massive reservoir of water about 400 miles below the Earth's surface, trapped inside a mineral called ringwoodite. This underground ocean could hold up to 3 times more water than all the oceans on the surface combined. What's fascinating is that this water isn't in liquid form. It's trapped within the rock itself, bound inside the structure of ringwoodite. This discovery may explain how the oceans formed on Earth, suggesting that a lot of our water came from the deep core. I spoke in another video about how you can balance your McDonald's carton on your drink. How does that work? Well, check that tip out when you finish watching this video. We have handily linked right here, so that's on you, Clyde. Throw that up there. I believe in you. Speaking of handy, did you know they also give you somewhere to drop your ketchup? There's a bendable flap at the top of the French fries box for that very purpose. In the mid-60s, author Ken Kesey, yes, the guy who wrote One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, decided to throw some of the most chaotic and mind-bending parties ever. The infamous acid tests. These weren't your typical gatherings. LSD was handed out freely, and what followed was a swirling mix of music, art, and people completely losing themselves in the experience. Without any real rules, these parties quickly dissolved the usual social boundaries. People stopped feeling like individuals and became part of a collective vibe. Psychologists call this a dissolution of ego boundaries, where everyone feels like they're part of something bigger than themselves. The energy at these events was off the charts, and it wasn't long before they became iconic moments in the counterculture scene, paving the way for even bigger gatherings like Woodstock. These days, there is a constant stream of news coming through our TVs, newspapers, and social media. There are even 24-hour news services, but this wasn't always the case. In 1930, people still relied on a single radio broadcaster, and in England, that was the BBC. However, listeners were surprised to tune in on April 18th to hear the presenter tell them that there was, quote, no news for the day. I think nowadays, most of us would be happy to go a day with no news. It's incredible to think that despite all of our visible differences, skin color, height, eye shapes, and facial features, we humans are genetically 99.9% identical. That tiny 0.1% variation in our DNA is what makes us unique individuals. It accounts for all the characteristics that define who we are, from our appearance to certain genetic traits. At our core, we're almost exactly the same. So maybe that 0.1% difference shouldn't divide us, but rather be something we embrace. The V-shaped section of your favorite sweater isn't an aesthetic thing. It has the practical use of collecting all the sweat that drips down during exercise. The V also provides more flexibility around the neck. Sweating profusely has never been more fashionable. I'm pretty dry right now. This is not a great workout. For my vocal cords, I guess. If the time between birthdays feels like it takes forever, you're not wrong. There are 31,536,000 seconds in a year, which means you're counting over 30 million seconds from one birthday to the next. And since I'm on the subject, while you're waiting for your next birthday celebration, you'll also have about 1,500 dreams. Though you probably won't remember most of them. But hey, it passes the time. Most flags are 2 or 3 colors and simple stripes. Nepal's flag is a rare exception. It is the only non-quadrilateral flag in the world, and its shapes are so precise that an article of Nepal's constitution has a detailed step-by-step process to draw it. After going through these instructions that feel more like a school test than a flag illustration, you're left with a combination of triangles, crescents, and stars. That's why it's known as the most mathematical flag in the world. This might sound bizarre, but all the data that makes up the entire internet, every website, video, and email, actually has a physical weight. And get this, it weighs about the same as a strawberry. While the internet feels completely intangible, the electrons that store and move the data across the world do have mass. It's just incredibly small. Shout out to whoever came up with this weird and wacky second news for a credit card. Did you know it could be doubled up as an impromptu cheese grater? The raised metallic numbers are reportedly perfect for the task. Great for when you're one of those people who frequently nicks themselves on that pesky grater. Just make sure you clean your card beforehand. And actually after, for that matter. If today's your birthday, you're definitely not celebrating alone. Around 21.9 million people worldwide are likely partying along right with you. That is a lot of cake, candles, and happy birthday songs happening at the same time. And if you're curious, there are some cool websites where you can dive even deeper. You can find out how many people were born on the exact same day, hour, and even nearly the same minute as you. Interestingly, July through September seems to be the most popular time for birthdays, with September 9th being the day when the most people are born globally. So, have you ever found a birthday twin? And by the way, when's your birthday? Let me know in the comments below. I know I share mine with Queen Victoria, John C. Reilly, Tracy McGrady. There's a couple people off the top of my head as well. Oh, Bob Dylan. May 24th birthdays. What's up, guys? If you celebrated May 24th birthday, let me know. Tensions between North and South Korea have been high ever since they separated after World War II. The Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, the 160-mile section between the two territories, divides the two countries. This is where political meetings take place between the two countries. It also has provided a rare environment for wildlife to flourish. The lack of humans is why of 267 endangered species in Korea, 38% of them live inside the Demilitarized Zone. Well, for animals, at least there's some positives to war. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, around 3,200 miles down, lies a fiery core with temperatures soaring to an incredible 10,800 degrees Fahrenheit or 6,000 degrees Celsius, about the same as the surface of the sun. This molten iron in the outer core is what generates Earth's magnetic field, a force field that shields us from harmful solar radiation. Without it, Earth would be vulnerable to intense solar winds, making life nearly impossible. Honestly, have you ever given it any thought? Right beneath us, there is a scorching sun-like engine that's keeping our planet safe and alive. Shout out to whoever came up with this weird and wacky second news for a credit card. Did you know it could be doubled up as an impromptu cheese grater? The raised metallic numbers are reportedly perfect for the task. Great for when you're one of those people who frequently nicks themselves on that pesky grater. Just make sure you clean your card beforehand. And actually after, for that matter. Since I've just touched on birthdays and we're getting closer to Halloween, did you know that if you were born on Halloween, you've basically beaten the odds? Studies from the Yale School of Public Health and a separate study in Taiwan found that births take a dramatic 11.3% dip on Halloween. And this wasn't just due to scheduled C-sections or induced labors. Natural births took a nosedive too. In fact, when researchers studied 1.8 million birth records over 20 years, they found that people just don't seem to be having babies on spooky October 31st. While science hasn't figured out exactly why this happens, researchers suspect it might have something to do with the overall vibe of Halloween influencing people's subconscious. Polar bears are apex predators of the ice. However, sometimes their big frame just isn't enough. Walruses, for example, can be up to 3 times bigger than polar bears with sharp tusks to defend themselves. To get around this, polar bears use cunning methods to gain the upper hand. They've been known to push heavy rocks or ice blocks from a vantage point so they tumble down and hit walruses. Researchers testing their abilities have even recorded them doing two-handed throws, like in basketball. The 19th century was the dawn of photography, but today, with a camera in every pocket, we're capturing moments at a staggering rate. Thanks to smartphones, we're now snapping more photos every 2 minutes than all of humanity managed to take throughout the entire 1800s. In fact, we took over 1 trillion photos in 2014 alone, a figure that must have gone up again by now. It just goes to show how technology has transformed the way we document our lives. I mean, can you imagine how different our photographic history would look if our grandparents had the same technology we had today? If you're a new parent, you're gonna want to thank me here on this one. You may own a onesie for your little one, which has a ruffled effect up where the collar is. This enables you to remove the onesie in a downward direction as well as up. In other words, it can pull over the legs as well as over the head. I don't know why I did the legs this way, I assumed head was coming first. Timing is everything because you never know what's gonna come out of your baby and how fast. Ew. You know how we all just clink our glasses before taking a sip? Well, as it turns out, this simple gesture has some pretty interesting history behind it. Some people used to believe clinking was meant to scare away evil spirits, because apparently demons have parties. Others think it started as a way to prevent poisoning. By sloshing a little wine into your friend's glass, you'd both be drinking the same thing. If one of you got poisoned, well, so did the other. Nice, right? As fun as those theories sound, the real reason is a bit more down to earth. Back in the day, a toast was all about engaging your senses, sight, smell, taste, and touch. But something was missing. Sound. When wine glasses became more elegant, people started realizing that tapping them together made a satisfying musical sound. And voila, the clink was born. Have you ever looked at a map and had more questions than answers? Well, listen closely because this section of the Middle East is probably the most confusing government you've ever heard of. It starts in a place called Mada, which is a territory of Oman. Oman is located in the UAE. But wait, it gets stranger. Inside Mada is an area called Nawa, which is a territory of the United Arab Emirates. That means you have an enclave within an enclave within an enclave. It's like the inception of geography. From towering cities to expansive artificial islands, we've altered the Earth's surface in ways no other species can. We've rerouted rivers, constructed massive dams, and cleared forests at a shocking rate. In fact, over 70% of Earth's ice-free land has been transformed by human activity, and the environmental impact is clearly visible from space. We've changed the planet in ways no other species has. And now it's our responsibility to strike a balance between progress and sustainability. We're not just builders, we're stewards of this planet. So maybe we should start acting that way. What do you think? Just what is this tiny little hole located next to your camera on your iPhone? Is it a secret government conspiracy to install tiny holes on people's devices for God knows what purpose? Is it a design flaw? Well, the truth is a little more mundane and practical. You see, this little hole is an additional microphone. It's actually news to me. I have an Android, but iPhones usually have 3 mics. I only thought you needed 1, but nope. When it comes to capturing sound, iPhones have covered all the bases. If this list succeeded and you're the life of the party somewhere, this final bit of info might come in handy. The Brits may be known for their stiff upper lip, but when it comes to drinking, they take the title of binge drinking champions of Europe. And after a night of heavy indulgence, they've got their hangover cure down to a science. According to a study from Newcastle University, the secret lies in a good old-fashioned bacon sandwich. The combination of crispy bacon packed with amino acids, bread providing much-needed carbohydrates, and salt to replenish lost electrolytes makes it the ultimate remedy. Add a bit of ketchup, and you've got the perfect morning-after meal to settle your stomach and get you back on your feet. And if that doesn't do the trick, try their hair of the dog remedy, having another drink the morning after to take the edge off. It might sound counterproductive, but by slowing down the metabolism of methanol, a hangover culprit, that next drink actually provides some temporary relief. Yes, temporary. Who would have thought? A group of divers exploring the waters of Madagascar were stunned to discover gigantic bones of what appeared to be lemurs in a well-preserved cave. These days, lemurs are pretty small primates that at the most weigh around 20 pounds. However, the bones found in Madagascar suggest that ancient lemurs could have been more than 8 times the size, weighing in at around 165 pounds. The fossils have been dated back to around 4,000 years ago, and the question is now, what were these huge animals doing crowded inside a cave? And were they hiding from something?